From Chicago's #1 news, ABC7 Eyewitness News at 10 starts right now.
Breaking news tonight, a Chicago police officer is shot. The officer is in stable condition after serving a murder warrant for an Indiana fugitive.
That shooting happened just after 6 o'clock this evening. This is a live look at the scene. Obviously, still a huge police presence there outside an apartment building at 72nd and Low. Eyewitness News reporter Ben Bradley live at Stroger Hospital where that officer was taken. But Eric Hong leads our coverage from the scene. Eric.
Ron and Cheryl, we have received very little official information from Chicago police about what happened about a block and a half from where we're standing and what is taking place at this hour. But I can tell you about an hour and a half ago, what had been a massive police response began to get scaled back. A number of officers remained here on the scene, but around 8:30 we saw a number of CPD vehicles leaving, and there was a noticeable change in the officers' demeanors who remained. Perhaps suggestive that this standoff may have been resolved, but again, awaiting official confirmation. This all began a little after 6 tonight at an apartment building in the 7200 block of South Low, the shooting drawing that large police presence, including an armored vehicle, SWAT teams, and officers with automatic weapons. Law enforcement could be seen ducking behind vehicles and trees as the shooter remained in the building. Sources telling us that the officer who was shot is a Chicago police captain, 7th District. He was hit in the head and chest area. Whether they were graze wounds or something more substantial, though, is unclear, but a source telling us that the bullet did not penetrate his skull. That captain was taken, we are told, to Stroger Hospital, initially in critical condition, but then upgraded to stable. His name has not been released by CPD. How did this begin? The U.S. Marshals Service confirming to us that members of its Regional Fugitive Task Force were at the building to serve an arrest warrant. Chicago police were assisting when the gunfire began, the shooter firing down at officers from an upper floor, and a standoff ensued. Police brought in manpower, tried to make contact with the suspect, and then eventually evacuated other residents from the apartment building. Now, multiple police sources tell us that the alleged shooter who was holed up in the building is 42-year-old Daniel P. Brown. Our ABC affiliate in Indianapolis telling us that Brown was wanted by authorities in Indy for an alleged crime spree over the weekend, including a carjacking and 3 separate shootings on Saturday. One of the victims, a friend of Brown's fiancée. The motive for the shootings unclear. Police in Indy releasing surveillance images of Brown over the weekend. Now, exactly why he ended up in Chicago is also unclear. There are reports he may have a relative who lives in that apartment building, but again, that's unconfirmed. A short time ago, the Indianapolis police chief issued a statement saying his department's thoughts and prayers are with Chicago police and the wounded officers, and confirmed that Indianapolis police are in contact with CPD. Again, awaiting official confirmation that his standoff perhaps has been resolved here in the Englewood neighborhood. But at this time, what had been a massive police response a couple of hours ago has certainly been scaled back, so that's good news. We're live in Englewood right now. Eric Hong, ABC7 Eyewitness News. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Eric. And Chicago police officers have been gathering outside Stroger Hospital. That's where the captain was rushed for treatment. Eyewitness News reporter Ben Bradley is there live. Ben?
We're told the police captain's condition has been improving, so much so that he continues to talk with not only Mayor Rahm Emanuel, who stopped by earlier, but also Chicago Police Superintendent Gary McCarthy, who, as we speak right now, is just emerging from the emergency room here, where we're told that he was able to speak with the police captain as well as the police captain's family. We expect the superintendent to speak with us here in just a few moments. In the meantime, let's show you that video of dozens and dozens of police officers who rushed here hearing the news. So many they spilled outside of the emergency room doors earlier tonight. Also, Mayor Rahm Emanuel arrived at about 8 o'clock this evening. I'm told he spoke with the police captain, who is alert, as well as the police captain's family. Let's come back live to the scene. We have Police Superintendent Gary McCarthy. Superintendent McCarthy sharing the good news that he has just come out, spoken with the police captain, who he describes as being in good spirits. His injuries are not life-threatening. And as far as we know from the superintendent, who just got here from the scene as well, the situation continues to unfold, but there is no longer a threat to civilians who are in that building. But as he said, they now believe that there are possibly 2 suspects holed up in that building in Chicago's Englewood neighborhood. That's the latest from the scene. Ben Bradley, ABC7 Eyewitness News. Cheryl, Ron, back to you.
Ben, thanks so much. And he's headed back to the scene as it's sour. And of course, the standoff is affecting Metro service. Metro is telling us tonight It has temporarily suspended all Southwest services through the area around the shooting. Now, the CTA also says some buses have been rerouted in that area. We will monitor this story throughout the newscast and bring you new information as we get it. And you can also follow developments on our website at ABC7CHICAGO.com. We'll also bring you the latest on our newscast coming up at 4:30 a.m.
And tonight, police are searching for the man who sexually assaulted a girl at a Cook County forest preserve. Happened Friday night at the Thatcher Woods Forest Preserve. Investigators say the teen was returning from a homecoming dance in Chicago. After taking a train back to the Maywood Forest Park area, she was walking the rest of the way home when a man dragged her into the woods and assaulted her. Any information about the attack or a suspicious person is asked to call the Sheriff's Police.
Tonight, 2 Hammond, Indiana police officers are accused of using excessive force during a traffic stop. They have faced similar allegations in the past. Lisa Mahone's 14-year-old son recorded this video, and police say they stopped her late last month because she wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Her friend Jamal Jones was in the passenger seat. He says police asked him to see his driver's license, which he did not have. And he says police insisted he get out of the car. Jones says he didn't feel safe doing so. Police then smashed the car window and hit Jones twice with a stun gun. Hammond police say at all times they were acting in the interest of officer safety. Similar allegations were made against the officers back in 2008. The case was settled, but the terms were not made public.
Tonight, we're hearing from the man who tried to save a nun from getting hit by a train in north suburban Highwood. Happened around 8 this morning as Sister Uduchukwu Odomina was crossing the tracks. A second nun made it across the tracks safely. A witness tried to save Sister Odomina after she fell on the tracks. Sister Odomina belonged to the Daughters of Divine Love convent, and she had lived at St. James Catholic Church for the past year.
And tonight we're following developing news story out of west suburban Naperville, where the city council is expected to vote on new liquor regulations there. Tonight, officials are expected to vote on regulations such as limiting maximum beer sizes and prohibiting the sale of liquor shots an hour before closing. Now, last month, the council voted to eliminate deep discounts on beer and increased training for bar security. Coming up next, the voice of the FBI wants you to hear tonight as agents are trying to identify an ISIS fighter who could be American.
First Lady Michelle Obama gets fans fired up during a visit to her hometown.
And the major shakeup apparently brewing in the Chicago radio business.
Now, from Chicago, you're watching Ron Majors, Kathy Brock, Cheryl Burton, sports with Mark Giangreco, and weather with Chief Meteorologist Jerry Taft. ABC7 Eyewitness News at 10 continues.
First Lady Michelle Obama campaigned for Governor Pat Quinn today in Chicago, saying for her and the president, the decision to support Quinn's re-election is personal. She spoke during a rally this afternoon at the UIC Pavilion. She told the crowd she knows what Quinn stands for and that he's making the tough decisions. Quinn's Republican challenger, Bruce Browner, reached out to female voters today during an event in Chicago. He also encouraged supporters to get people registered to vote.
Chicago Marathon organizers and city officials say medical teams are ready in the event of an Ebola scare at Sunday's race. Organizers say African runners come mostly from East Africa, not the parts of the continent affected by the virus. Security barricades are already going up, and some streets are blocked tonight in Grant Park. Chicago police plan to patrol the race route both in person and with more than 27,000 surveillance cameras.
Going to take a short break and be back on the other side.
An update on that breaking story we've been following all night now. A Chicago police captain in stable condition after he was shot at 72nd and Low earlier this evening. It happened as Chicago police and U.S. Marshals were serving a warrant. They were apparently trying to arrest Daniel Brown. He's wanted for a triple shooting in Indianapolis last weekend. We'll continue to monitor developments and bring you an update before the end of this newscast. New for us at 10 o'clock, Chicago radio's original bad boy is apparently returning to the airwaves. Steve Dahl left radio several years ago and has been openly critical of the medium while he does a subscription podcast. But Dahl has reportedly agreed to become the afternoon personality on WLS-AM 890. According to media critic and blogger Robert Feeder, Dahl will replace Rokon and Richard Roper as early as next month.
Well, they've won the taste buds of travelers worldwide. 2 Chicago restaurants top a list of the best dining spots in America. Lydia in Chicago's Lincoln Park neighborhood listed as #1 in TripAdvisor's annual Traveler's Choice Awards. Girl in the Goat is 25th on the list, and the award winners are calculated using the millions of reviews and opinions from TripAdvisor travelers. And nobody dining al fresco tonight because it's a little chilly, but it was a gorgeous fall day today.
It was actually a nice day. We had a couple of showers, basically south of Chicago and across portions of Indiana. Actually, a few thunderstorms. And guess what? Tomorrow morning, we have a total eclipse of the moon beginning at 4:15. Becomes redder as it moves into the shadow close to the horizon. Best viewing time, obviously, between 5:25 and 6:24 a.m. Probably anybody watching right now won't be up at that time. But if you are, a total eclipse of the moon. Here's what we had during the afternoon. Some pretty heavy showers and thunderstorms. You can see them passing just to the south of Michigan City over toward LaPorte. Here's a look at the hail track. So we had some hail out of that. And we had plenty of people send in photographs of hail on the ground over in Indiana. This evening, the heaviest showers and thunderstorms down in Kentucky. Those are now starting to subside. No watches or warnings down there right now. Today we had a high of 66, which is average for this time of year. Last year's high is 68. The record high set back in 2007, 87. Right now it's 58 out at O'Hare. Humidity 57%. The AccuWeather reporting a rising barometer, 2981. The wind out of the west at 10 miles an hour. It's actually a beautiful evening out there. Just a few thin clouds around, but generally speaking, most of the area clear with all the activity well off to the east of us. Winds are out of the west-northwest and will continue as such during the day tomorrow. You can see most of the showers today pushing to the south and east. So we actually have an area of high pressure back out to the west, and it will be sliding in our direction here both tonight and tomorrow. There's tomorrow morning, and then tomorrow during the afternoon, we expect that high to get almost directly over us, which means bright sunshine expected for tomorrow. Today's high is 66. It was 71 in Champaign, 78 in St. Louis, 81 down in Carbondale. Right now it's 56 here officially at O'Hare. 59 Midway, 60 at the Lake, 48 in Batavia right now, 52 in Lockport. Indiana, 55 in Chesterton, 51 in Valparaiso. We'll see temperatures tonight in the 40s and then rising up to 63 or 64 degrees tomorrow, 64 at O'Hare. Midway, 63 at the Lake, 64 Batavia. Temperatures in the 60s again across Indiana and also southern Wisconsin. Tonight, 42 to 52. Clearing skies out there, cool, just a beautiful evening. Then tomorrow, total eclipse of the moon, very early, 63 tomorrow, mostly sunny, pleasant, but breezy. West winds running about 12 to 22 miles per hour. So a nice day coming tomorrow. And then 61 on Thursday, 60 Friday, upper 50s over the weekend, but no problems. Back in the 60s next week with a chance for a couple of showers on Tuesday. So nothing extreme for us over the next 7 days.
Great, Jerry. Thanks. 1968. Whether you lived it or weren't even born yet, it's a fascinating year to revisit.
A new exhibit coming up.
And I'm Mark Giangreco. Coming up in sports, while the Bulls sit Noah and rest Rose, the Hawks' Chris Versteeg is stung by the injury bug already. Stay with us.
Some of the Bulls got to rest.
Yes, they did. And they're not going to win the exhibition title this year. They lost again.
Wow.
Oh, my gosh. So the Bulls went back-to-back tonight, continuing the preseason with Tibbs coaching the night away against the Pistons in Detroit. And as promised, Joe Keem sitting this one out. They're going to watch his knee. Derek, 14 minutes again, but 0 for 4 from the floor. Only 6 points from the free throw line. First quarter, off the Kirk Heinrich miss. Jimmy Butler is there for the putback. He wound up with 18. Good night for Jimmy. And then in the second, Taj Gibson, little step-back jumper that he loves from the corner. He had 17 and 7. In the third, Paul Gasol banging away. goes glass and the foul. As for the Hawks, it looks like Christopher Steeg's going to miss at least the season opener in Dallas Thursday night after injuring himself in practice today. Q confirms it is a lower body thing. Remember, Steger had surgery on his knee prior to last year and just could never regain that old form and was benched for the playoffs. Obviously, this could really hinder his comeback from the coach's doghouse. It is tough, though. When Mark Trestman takes attendance at tomorrow's Bears practice, cornerback Isaiah Fry will be absent because he was cut today along with defensive end David Bass. Now, going to Atlanta means they're going to be facing former returner, receiver, and future Hall of Famer Devin Hester, who has been completely rejuvenated by the Dirty Birds, doing it all. And, of course, he was asked if this game is going to be something special, but he really wants to beat them. Briefly, the Cubs hitting coach Bill Miller is gone. The Giants and the Nats tied 2-2 in the 7th right now. Earlier tonight, a slumping Yasiel Puig benched by the Dodgers for that Cardinal elimination game. 7th inning, Matt Adams stuns Clayton Kershaw for the game-winning 3-run blast. Kershaw still cursed in the postseason, while St. Louis goes back to a 4th straight NLCS with a 3-2 victory. Finally, let's go back to the Blackhawks. The team opened its big flagship swag store on Michigan Avenue today, where Alderman Brendan Riley really appreciated the fact that the team's chairman didn't want to trump Trump. Yes, thank you from all of us. But Rocky Tower, I would go for that.
That would be
fine.
Absolutely.
That would be
Thanks,
really
Mark.
cool. Well, do you remember where you were back in 1968, everybody? We have a new exhibit that showcases the tumultuous years with some historic highlights.
And here's Jimmy Kimmel with a look at what's ahead tonight.
I want to update our top story. A Chicago police captain was shot in a standoff in the city's Inglewood neighborhood. He is now in stable condition at this hour. Officers are still on the scene at 72nd and Low. This all started around 6 o'clock tonight. Police believe the shooter may be Indiana fugitive Daniel P. Brown, who is wanted for a couple of shootings in Indianapolis. And there may be a second offender inside the building. A police captain was hit in the head. His injuries are not life-threatening, according to police. Now, you can follow developments on our website and on our next newscast at 4:30 a.m.
1968. The year may trigger vivid memories for you. I have trouble remembering some of it myself. A new exhibit at the Chicago History Museum revisits the biggest events, including the escalation of Vietnam, the assassination of Martin Luther King Jr. and Robert Kennedy, as well as the Chicago riots. The subjects are not all serious. The flashback includes a look at fashion, music, and television shows. This exhibit runs through January 4th, and I'm going to go see it just to see if it'll remind me of a few things.
It's a must.
Walk down memory lane. All right, everybody. Jimmy Kimmel coming up next. Billy Crudup, Chef Massimo, and Weezer.
Have a good night.